So I want to talk about the shadow aspects of our lives and our personalities and how we can use these emotions that we don't like so much to make our work better as creatives. And that internal struggle or battle to find the balance inside ourselves between the light and the dark. And what I mean by that is, the things that we like about ourselves or the good parts of us versus the parts of us that we feel shame around or sadness, things that we hide from, or we hide from other people, or we hide from ourselves. Whenever these feelings come up, we tend to stuff them down and don't even want to feel them or recognize them or pacify them with, whatever our vice is, TV, our phone, or drugs, you name it. So, how can we express this inner struggle, this balance that we're trying to find through our art? So, today I wanted to talk about how creativity is a gift and how the emotions that we have, especially the more negative ones, or the harder ones like shame, sadness, and fear, relate to our success and our creativity. So the darker aspects, I think, of being human and having those emotions, and they come out of nowhere, especially when you're self-employed and you're a creative. I think in society we were taught that we should push those feelings away, or we should, as soon as a thought or a fear or something comes in, to think positive. I mean, and I'm totally guilty of doing this, or doing this to people too, thinking that you're helping. But really, like, as a creative, I think that these darker aspects or darker parts of ourselves, or they would say shadow work, these thoughts and feelings actually fuel your work. When you don't, well, I don't know, if you ignore them or not, I feel like they come through your work anyway. But recently, for me, I think the more that I sit inside of an emotion, or multiple emotions I might be having at once, thinking about the past and feeling shame for things that I've done or that have happened, I think it actually makes your artwork better. So the darker aspects of you have many lessons in them. So you've got the dark side, you've got the light side, right? You've got like the positive aspects about yourself, or the things that you feel good about. And then there's the parts of yourself, or feelings, emotions that you don't like so much. Shame, fear, sadness, these types of things that you end up pushing down and you don't acknowledge. But I think it's actually the balance between the light and the dark. It's the balance between these negative aspects of yourself that you're not very proud of, or you don't like to feel, that doesn't feel good. So it's the balance between those and the positive aspects of yourself that is the human experience, right? It's like trying to find a balance, a happy medium, and you need both these aspects. The world has dark and light. Every person has dark and light. So a better way for me to explain this would be like Jedis. You know, the Jedis are there to keep the balance between the light and the dark, essentially. And the dark will always exist, and the light will always exist. And you can see when the balance is disrupted, how much destruction can happen, right? Like, you have to acknowledge those darker aspects. So anyway, how to use these darker aspects in your creativity to make you successful. So in the movie The Matrix, you have a choice. And the choice is the red pill or the blue pill. So the red pill is, I think it's the red pill. You stay in the matrix. You know, what is the matrix? It's this false reality that's like rose-colored glasses, right? And the blue pill is you go down the rabbit hole and you're woken up to what reality really is. And so we all have a choice. And in the movie The Matrix, it was really good at depicting the struggle between, you know, what's reality and what is reality, or what do I make reality, or I have the power to make reality whatever I want it to be. And you can see the struggle in Neo between, is this possible? Isn't this possible? Can I do this? Can't I do this? Is this real? Isn't this real? And I feel like that it's such a great depiction of what it feels like internally as a creative, because you're constantly struggling inside, feeling like, is this real? Isn't this real? Does it mean anything? Does it mean anything to other people? What does it mean to me? What am I trying to say? And struggling to keep going, or feeling like, should I just quit? Should I take the red pill? And should I, you know, just go back into this fantasy world of structure that's, you know, like a written path. If I do this thing, then I'll have success. If I sell out as an artist, then everything will be fine and my struggle will end. But as many artists know, you have a day job, or I've been there, I've done that. And internally, there might be some security or relief momentarily, you know, that you can pay your bills or whatnot, but inside there's still the struggle of wanting to create, finding the time to create, yada yada. So what I'm trying to say is, as a creative, to keep your integrity. What do I mean by that? We're constantly pulled one direction or another to sell out in a certain sense, to not stay true to ourselves, to not stay true to what we want to do, to change. When we have this vision, or we have this idea of how we want things to look or feel, and you constantly have things on the outside of you that are just like in the matrix saying, hey, well, if you do this, then you'll have success. Or if you do this quick and easy thing, or, you know, you sell your soul in some way, then, you know, all your worries will go away and you'll have stability and blah, 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 blah. So it's this like constant battle inside of like being true to yourself and trying to survive. Like, do I stay true to myself, or do I give in to pay the bills and do the things I don't want to do? Get a job, or I like to say the J word. And fear can totally take over. It'll take over your mind. It'll make you feel like you're going crazy. You know, and most people would say, just get a job. But I feel like in that time, in that moment where you're just like losing your shit and you're feeling so much fear and so much like internal pressure of like, I have to do something. Those are the greatest moments. Those, like, that is the moment of creation, I guess. That is the moment to like dive deep into those feelings and create something. It's so easy to just push those feelings and those moments away and to give in to, you know, go work a job, waste your time, basically. Because art is like a channel. It's a channel. The images and thoughts and feelings, I think, that you go through as an artist is a physical expression of you and the universe, right? Like trying to find this balance between the light and the dark. And so your expression as a creative is documenting this. You're documenting your experience through your lived life, your self-expression of trying to find this balance, you know, the oh shits and the hell yeahs. And trying to keep your integrity. We all fall off sometimes. We all give in to that pressure or that fear of, fuck, I need to pay my bills, I need to pay my rent, I'm gonna go work a job for this amount of time or whatever. And then you get sucked into it. You get sucked into the matrix, and then 6 years goes by and you didn't, you know, create any work and your soul's slowly dying. I've seen it happen to so many great artists where they give in to this moment that I'm talking about, these moments, and they happen almost every other day for me of like this fear coming up of like, you know, can I make it? And I think that's one of the biggest fears of artists is, am I going to live under a bridge, you know? But when you think about it, the reality of it is that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. I have friends, I have family that are know what that happened, right? And if they're really, truly your friends, they're going to motivate you and they're going to push you towards your dreams, your aspirations, for you to keep going and not to give in to the matrix, to not to get that job, right? Like, really, you can't just sit in your room all day and do nothing and just sit in the fear and the shame and all these feelings that are coming up. Like, how can I express these feelings into visual representations of this inner struggle of the balance that I'm going through? Because I'm not the only one going through this. I know that. I think part of it being an artist is that connection. The connection that we have or we want or we're seeking with community or other people, the human race, you know. I'm not the only one, right? That's probably feeling these feelings and emotions, but I feel like it's my duty to express them in a way that can help other people or change the perspective of someone, to give them hope, to let them know that they're not alone and that we are all connected, going through the same shit, feeling the same shit. And the overall thing is trying to find a balance, right? Because it's always going to be this way. There's always going to be light and dark. There's always going to be this teeter-totter kind of emotions swaying 1 minute to the next of, fuck, I don't know if I can do this. Am I going to survive? And the next minute you're just like ecstatic and happy, like, no, I'm fine. Like, everything's working out. And then the next day, it's like, fuck, I have so much fear today. It makes you feel like you're going crazy sometimes. So I was listening to The Artist's Struggle for Integrity by James Baldwin yesterday, and then I got on like a whole roll of listening to a bunch of his interviews. If you haven't listened to that on YouTube, and you want to understand artists or you're creative, and you have to listen to this. It's mind-blowing. He is a writer, and of course he's so much more eloquent about talking about these things than I am, mostly because he has more experience. But he talks about like being used. Like, as a creative, I'm being used, and if you can surrender to that the universe, this connection that you have, that you're a channel and you're actually being used by that to convey these things to people, to the greater community, to help or educate or whatever, right? If you can just surrender into that and just know that it's coming from a higher power, and to have faith that there's a reason why you create, there's a reason why you create the images that you do, and maybe they trigger people, or they don't like them, or they say your art is really dark, or they don't get it, or whatever, right? There's a certain level of trust and faith that you have to know that maybe people don't get it in this day and time, or maybe they won't get it in another 10 years, but maybe at some point, right, it's gonna click and it's gonna mean something. But that's like part of the process, right? And just think of how many emotions and things that come up just with that. Like, you know, I've been living in Utah for 15 years. I came here to go to art school, and it's been a struggle the whole time to feel like I've made it, or to feel like what I'm doing means something, or that it matters, that I'm making income, to say that I'm successful. It's been this constant, like, trying to find the balance, right, between my creativity and my inner emotions, the things going on outside of me, to find this stability, the illusion of stability. But my art is a documentation of it, right? And my art is documentation of my life, and that inner struggle of trying to find balance that we all share and that we all have, of the light and dark aspects of ourselves. And everything going on in the world right now is such a reflection of this, right? You can see in the outside, the balance being ticked one way or another. You can see the light and the dark, mostly dark, right? So you know that the dark is starting to get to a tipping point where it has to it's going to be doing this. It's not going to keep doing this. Dark, 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 dark. It is constantly like this, right? The balance will be restored. So if you can keep that in mind for yourself, knowing that when you are in these moments of deep, deep shame and sadness and fear, to know that it's going to tip the other way soon. And to just feel and acknowledge and express these concepts, these emotions, express them through your art, then I feel like you will have a successful career. And, you know, that goes into what success is for you. For me, success isn't, you know, I've got thousands of dollars in my bank account. For me, success is that I'm creating work that is beautiful, it's well done, it evokes an emotion from me, it expresses exactly the concepts and emotions and feelings that I'm talking about, whether or not people like it or not. Like, I feel successful and proud of what I'm creating, and to do it on a consistent basis, to allow that channel to come through and to express itself through me, through my life, no matter how messy it might look. It can look pretty messy, but to express it in a beautiful way. Here's a really great quote that I wrote down yesterday from James Baldwin. Suffering is not your isolation, it is your bridge. Yeah. I think it's really easy to go into isolation, or hermit mode, as I say, and that is part of the process, right? To go into isolation, to to go deep inside of yourself to explore these feelings and concepts. But to realize that these thoughts, feelings, and emotions are a bridge to your success, your creativity, to your connection to source, your connection to your community, your connection to other people, because you aren't the only one thinking and feeling these things and struggling between the light and dark and trying to find balance in your life, to find meaning in your life, to have integrity in yourself, in the things that you're doing, and to feel like they're worthwhile. What you're doing is worthwhile. But these things are really cultivated within yourself. It's like the balance between fear and faith. Having this faith and that teeter-totters too, right? Like just having the faith that it's all gonna work out. It means something. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say today. See you next time.